It's the industry where your guests come in, but they can leave feeling better than when they arrived. Intuitive service is what our guests are looking for nowadays. Service has changed so much that you're part of it now. I said, but I can't do the job. And he said, you get 200% for enthusiasm, the rest you'll figure out.
Welcome to the latest episode of Sweet Talk by the Hotel Magazine. We're honoured to welcome today's guest, who has a huge over 25 years of experience in hospitality across Southern Africa, Europe and the Middle East, whilst leading operations for world-class brands before stepping into her current role in 2023 to shape an ambitious portfolio of hotels in London. Passionate about creating meaningful guest experiences, empowering her teams and anchoring each property in its local neighbourhood, our guest brings strategic vision and operational excellence. Championing sensitive luxury that combines bespoke service, thoughtful wellness and sustainability, we'll be delving into her journey, her leadership ethos and how she sees the future of luxury hospitality evolving. Please welcome the wonderful Samantha Van Exter, Head of Hotels at the Montcalm Collection. Samantha, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited for this one.
Yeah, I was really excited, and in a lovely space as well.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I think good place to start. Tell us about your early life, your upbringing.
So my early life was in South Africa, Cape Town, the most beautiful city in the world. And I grew up in a hospitality family. My dad was a hotelier. My grandfather was a chef. My uncle was a chef, so I guess it ran in the family and ran in the blood. Most of my early life, I remember spending a lot of time during the weekends with my dad. He ran a golf course, food and beverage department. Yes. And I used to go there on a Saturday afternoon and spend time in the tea room. And actually, I remember seeing this cup on the side of the serving counter with tips marked on it. And I thought, oh, that's a very good idea. And I put my own cup out and I got tips.
Nice.
So I think that was my first introduction really to hospitality, knowing that you can, once you're very nice to people, you get tips.
Yeah.
I guess, what are your first memories of hospitality? Was there kind of like a restaurant like that you remember, or a hotel or somewhere that kind of you associate with hospitality?
Absolutely. I was speaking to my sister this morning and we were actually reminiscing about a restaurant called La Perla, an Italian restaurant in Cape Town. My uncle worked there. So on my dad's day off on a Monday, he would take me out of school, very cheekily.
Nice.
And we would go to La Perla for lunch. And I think my fondest memory was being served a amuse-bouche, because I didn't know what that was, but it looked very cute. And I thought I could bring my dolls along to enjoy this miniature lunch. Yeah. And so I guess I felt very grown up. Yeah. And the waiters were amazing, because they would always recognize my dad. They always knew he liked his favorite glass of red wine, and the service was impeccable.
Mm.
Nice.
Oh, amazing. I know that we've kind of touched on the fact that family members were in hospitality and perhaps that influenced your career. But would you say that that's what drew you to hospitality? And was there a particular moment where you thought, yes, this is how I know that this is the career for me?
I think there was not one particular moment, but many. Spending time in the golf club, and then my father moved on to Intercontinental, and he managed quite a big hotel. And so they did lots of events, weddings, social events. And so I got to go with him. And I started working there as a waitress when I was quite young. And I spent a lot of time at social events, weddings, bar mitzvahs. Celebrations that brought people together. And I think that was the moment where it really clicked for me, that, you know, the little details, the little meaningful gestures that I offered the guests made them so happy. And I realized that I could really deliver a service and change somebody's day or an experience. And that was the moment when I thought, okay, hospitality is definitely something I wanted to do. It's the industry where your guests come in, but they can leave feeling better than when they arrived.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really nice. I think somebody could walk in here and be having a really not very nice day, and the fact that you know that you hold power to change that.
Yeah, you can make a difference.
Yeah.
It is unique to any other industry, I guess, because you are effectively, you're affecting people's moods, you're creating experiences for people that, you know, makes their day and a quite intimate moment, I think.
Absolutely, and you can ask questions. You know, you're allowed to ask questions in hospitality. Why are you staying with us for this weekend? Is there a special occasion?
Yeah.
What are you celebrating? What are you coming to do in London? You're allowed to ask questions.
Yeah.
And by asking all those questions, you know, and being intuitive, we are able to get the answers and make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bet you've made kind of some lovely friends through guests as well, people who kind of keep returning, and they return because of the experiences that they've had, and that's a really, really nice thought.
Oh, absolutely. I was chatting about one of my favorite guests. She was Miss Curaçao in 1968.
Wow.
And she would fly over to the Netherlands and stay in the hotel that I managed. She was a flight attendant with US Airways, and she was flying and working with US Airways until she was 78. Wow. And she would tell us about all her stories, about all the hotels all over the world. And I think the most fascinating story that she told us was about what aircrew members do in hotel rooms, you know, when they come in, and what they look at in terms of cleanliness. And so the eye for detail that they have is rather unique.
I suppose they see every kind of culture, every hotel, so they're very kind of tuned into what a good hotel looks like, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, talking of what good hotels looks like, obviously Montcalm Mayfair is gorgeous, as everyone can see. I came back when we had the hard hat tour, which was a while ago now, and so seeing it kind of all finished is complete. Obviously, well, there was kind of the shell of it. I mean, we came into this room and it didn't quite have the finishing touches. So beautiful.
I don't think, was Camille Rousseau's mural done?
I think it was in here and out in the lobby as well. But yeah, there was kind of some finishing touches. So tuning into that and Montcalm Mayfair itself, what would you say now it's finished are some, maybe not one, because I'm sure that there's plenty, some key features that you're really proud of?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. I love the art. I think we've done a great job with the art curation. The mural that we're looking at, beautiful. I think that's so beautiful. Bloom is probably one of my favorite rooms, but then we have our amazing botanical suites, and that's got all the beautiful shades of green. And I love Christmas, so it reminds me of Christmas.
Yeah.
We've got fantastic design. We've layered up on the design. Everything is really, really beautiful and thoughtfully designed and decorated. But I would say the team, because the team is what really makes the difference in hospitality. And we have an amazing team. They're very intuitive, they're very thoughtful, they're very considerate, and friendliness is, you know, super important today. And they make all our guests feel at home. Yeah. So I would say that's what I'm most proud of.
Well, actually, I think you guys commented when you came on about the welcome that you had from the people kind of on the door, and the staff made such an impact, obviously, to us, well, all of us. Yeah.
I think that's it's the first thing you see as a guest. You walk in, what are the people like? How attentive are they? How, you know, people can be having bad days, like we said, and it's about coming to work with a smile on your face. And I think you can see all of your staff here have that. I think, talk to me about the idea of sensitive luxury. So this is quite a big tagline that you use with Montcalm.
Absolutely. I travel a lot for pleasure with my family, and we speak to our guests, and intuitive service is what our guests are looking for nowadays. You know, a few years ago, if you got a very nice VIP amenity in your room, the bigger the amenity in your room, the bigger the bunch of flowers, the bigger the bottle of champagne or the brand, the cookies, the macarons, that would make quite an impact. And guests buy these items for their own homes. Yeah. Everyone invests in products that we offer in hotels. Sure. And so we were, you know, I think we were thinking about how do we make sure our guests feels comfortable in our hotels, and maybe as comfortable as they feel at home. Yeah. And we have guests who are very discerning, and they have everything at home. And what we realized by speaking to our guests is that they want us to read the room, understand their body language, and kind of read what they're looking for instead of asking them too many questions. You know, sometimes you come to a front desk and it's question after question, and you need to know how to do that. So we focus a lot about on intuitive service.
Sure.
How do our team members read the room? How do they know when to speak to the guest, when not to speak to the guest, when to take cues from a guest? If a guest talks about the weather tomorrow, do you need an umbrella if you're going out for that walk? And recognizing can be by noting little details, whether it's on arrival, you know, the suitcases the guest is carrying, or they don't have a jacket with them, or they don't have an umbrella, or by the comments they make about plans they have. So we are going for dinner tonight at 8 p.m. and it's raining, and how do we get there? So the cue is, you know, can we book a taxi for you? Shall we arrange an umbrella? Do you need? So it's about offering at the right moment. And then in terms of the guest experience when they go to the bedroom, so I've stayed in hotels where I put my items in a certain position or place and it gets moved. That happens so often. So understanding and maybe writing a note and saying, we've seen that you've done that. Would you like us to keep it that way? And so the little details, and that's what we regard as being sensitive to our guests' needs. And, you know, it goes far beyond that. At breakfast, the nicest thing is when you go for breakfast in the morning and the waitress or the server has recognized that yesterday you had a decaf cappuccino. In the morning, there's nothing worse than getting the wrong order or having to go through the same process over and over again. And it seems all very simple. But hotels and restaurants often get it wrong.
That is a very basic thing for people to pick up is, you know, what coffee did you order yesterday morning? But it does make a huge difference.
Massive difference.
I mean, if someone remembers my order, I think, oh, that's cool.
Especially when you know they've got so many other guests to look after as well.
I suppose you've kind of answered my next question to a degree. So how do you define great guest experience today? So I guess that buys into identifying what your guest is looking for.
Giving you something you want before you know you want it. That's how I would define it. I like something sweet after I have a savoury breakfast. And that's a very Dutch thing.
I can get on board with that.
So this morning I had breakfast with our general manager, and one of the servers came by. She brought some toast and apricot jam because I do like that. And I did not ask for it. And that just made me feel so happy. Something so simple. And it could be anything. You know, some guests have a coffee first and then they have a tea later. Or they have a juice first, or they have water later. It could be anything, really. Or guests who don't like having dessert, but they want a little chocolate. So it could be so many different things. So just giving people something that they want, but they don't realize it yet.
So it's not actually that complicated in essence. It's remembering what people like and making sure that that's available to. How do you feel kind of guest experience has changed and developed over, I guess, throughout your career?
There was a big steer towards opulence. Bigger is better, more is more. And now it's definitely more about feeling at home than feeling different. You know, in the past, it was about going into a hotel and feeling special. And you go into this hotel and it's better than what you have at home. And so everything's better. And now it's about going there and feeling comfortable, feeling welcomed, not feeling out of place. I think that's super important for our guests of today. They want to be able to walk in anywhere, whether it's white tablecloths, service, and napkins, tables with no tablecloths. That's how I always define it. I remember coming to London in my gap year and going to the Ritz. And we desperately needed to use the ladies. And they looked my friend and I up and down, and there was no way we were going to get in there because we were wearing sneakers. And probably we were too young as well at the time. Our guests of today wants to be able to walk into any hotel and feel welcome.
So
we've decided no tablecloths. Because it would scare me, a younger me, because I would think white tablecloths, it means you need to behave a certain way. The world has changed today. But our guests want to be treated normally. They want to be able to ask questions. They want to feel that they are part of the experience, part of the decision making. They are paying for it.
Yeah, they're an aid and not a way to make you feel, oh, I don't know about wine.
Service has changed so much that you're part of it now.
Yeah. No, that's a really good way of looking at things. So obviously partnerships are key to providing like a great experience in hotels. Tell us about how you go about orchestrating these partnerships, kind of what you look for in a partner and how that process develops for you.
Absolutely. I think it's very important for us that our partners have the same ethos. And, we are obviously part of, two of our hotels, the Inhabits are B Corp accredited. Montcalm Mayfair is EarthCheck accredited. So it's very important for us that they have sustainable practices, but also that they align, with our ethos of caring for our teams, sensitive luxury. And so I think when we look at Chef Akira back, for example, we felt that he was perfectly aligned with us because, he's taken food to a whole new level. It's modern, but it's accessible, which is very, very important. And he brings a different type of cuisine to London. And then when we talk about Goldfinger, who produces some of our amazing furniture, we've got our benches in our bathrooms. Kalinko has produced most of our guest amenities. They're a social enterprise, so they work with ladies in Asia to make all these beautiful items for us. So we really try to find a way to give back as well. And of course, we are a business and we need to make sure that we have the right products for our guests, but by giving back at the same time.
So there's a story to
Absolutely.
your partnerships and there's more to it than just picking a brand.
Absolutely.
The backstory as well.
Our entire hotel is all about storytelling.
Yeah. Do you get lots of guests asking about particular items? And
Yes. We have our Montcalm Edit, which is our retail list of items that our guests can buy to take home with them.
Brilliant.
The interiors, as we've spoken about, are just, they speak for themselves here. And when I came to the Hard Hat tour, I met Louise.
Yes.
And something that I've been telling the guys about, which I really loved, and which is a kind of subtle nod to the location, is the arches, which we've got here and on the bar stools as well for Marble Arch. And so, I know that Louise was just one of the kind of experts that you worked with. So how did you go about kind of, again, it delves into partnerships, but in terms of interior, because that's a huge part of the venue. So how did you know who you wanted to work with?
When I joined, Louise had already been appointed, and Louise had started working with Nadira. And Nadira loved Louise's work, and we all loved what she has done in the past. And Louise is very much a designer who she loves to find unique pieces and she likes to work with craftsmen. And that's what we found really special about her. And ideally working with craftsmen from the UK as much as possible. Yeah. And that was something that really triggered interest from our side.
Obviously, you've had lots of experience now in the world of hospitality and hotels. And as you know, any kind of good leader does face challenges. So would you say that there's been any kind of key challenges that you've come up against in your experience? And how have you gone about kind of dealing with those?
Everyone says COVID, right?
Yeah, that's quite a common answer.
COVID definitely was a big challenge because it was unprecedented. We just did not know what to do. I think it was the first time in my career that I didn't know what to do. Because, you always rely on your experience and, I've done something like this before. So if I do A, B or C, and then Brexit. So the combination definitely impacted businesses and how we operated. And coming back from COVID, the shortage of qualified hospitality staff in the market was really, really hard. So that was definitely one challenge. And then I think when moving to Montcalm, we obviously moved from having individual hotels to a collection. And we started making quite a lot of changes in terms of processes and systems and trying to integrate all the team members. And so that, change comes with adversity and everything else. And when there's change, your team members need to understand what's happening and what does it mean for them. And so managing change with with kindness and empathy, but most importantly, clarity.
I think that's the same for not just hospitality. I mean, across the board in employment, we always say at the office, communication is always key. So,
absolutely, yeah. How are people supposed to know what's happening if you don't tell them?
Yeah, that's it.
And don't assume. It's very easy that we assume that managers are talking to team members or that somebody is talking about something.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Now, a quick word from our partners at Agilysys. I'm here with Duncan Osborne. Duncan, thanks for coming along. What are the common mistakes you find with hotels when it comes to personalisation?
Gosh, there's a question. Thanks, Declan, and good to see you again. Thanks for inviting us back. Quite a broad question. There are many mistakes that we make as an industry. In terms of the personalisation of a visit, it's. I think we're stuck in the way we do it, which is, we quite often will check into a hotel, hear a question I hate, which is, hey, have you stayed with us before? I find that personally really annoying, especially if I've stayed there 10 times. What we need to shift to is being able to say to someone, hey, welcome back. Would you like, we actually, do you know what? We've taken the liberty of ordering the same wine you had last week when you were here with us, or we saw you use the gym, so we put some gym equipment in your room. That becomes really personal service. And I think we need to do more stuff like that. It's attention to detail. So if you're in let's say a corporate, not bed factory necessarily, but a corporate stay heavy hotel, that attention to detail with the individual corporate guests is really useful, even if it's just using their name or, saying, hey, great to see you again. It's really nice you come back with us. Thanks for your loyalty, that sort of thing. It makes it just that little bit more personal. Sure. If you're looking at families and, leisure guests, for example, there's much more opportunity to make that a much more personal experience. So families will tend to book package items, for example, or look to anyway. And I think we as an industry really struggle with the package side of things because we don't sell it very well. Yeah. So people can go online and book a hotel room, but can they actually book the round of golf as well at the same time? No. Generally. Can they book spa treatments at the same time? Not really. Any family activities? Those things tend to be a case of you have to pick up the phone to phone a different department, or you get transferred somewhere else in the hotel. So, today's guests want to be able to book that online and make a real package booking, stick it all into one cart. Buy it all at the same time, and on arrival at the hotel, have the team at the hotel turn around and say, hey, welcome, you got your spa treatments for, X person in your group at 11 o'clock tomorrow, you got your round of golf 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. By the way, the weather's looking a bit rubbish, do you want to move the time? That sort of personalisation is really important. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do because you have to really check on each guest who's staying with you and understand what they're there for, and we as an industry need to get better at understanding what our guests' requirements are. Because they are varied and massively different for a different family from one, let's say cultural aspect, also from a personal aspect. So you have to really understand what the guest is there to do with you and where they're going to spend their money.
Of course, and these are things that hotels should know and have access to that can obviously improve the way that they're customising packages and making them.
Yeah, so there's two elements to that. One is really paying attention to the person who's staying with you, whether they're individual or family or leisure or whatever that is. But the other side of it is having the availability of items for people to actually be able to book with you, not have to make that extra phone call, not have to make the extra effort. They want to spend their money with you. And it also means if you get it right, you can make a lot more money out of that particular booking as well, because the revenue generation opportunities are huge there. People stay with you, they spend a lot of money. They will spend that extra bit if you get it right. And if you position your marketing and your packages properly, they'll spend the extra money with you.
Sure. Duncan, thank you.
So kind of leaning into the future of Montcalm Collection and I suppose the hotel landscape as a whole, what is something or a few things that really excites you the most?
AI. It excites me. It does not scare me at all.
Yeah.
And I've been in a number of meetings and groups, different sessions discussing AI. And sometimes I feel some of my colleagues are perhaps slightly afraid that it will diminish our roles. Yeah. But I don't see it that way. I'm super excited because I believe that AI will give us more opportunity to engage with our guests.
Yeah.
It will take away all the mundane tasks.
Yeah.
We've implemented AI in our back office operations, and we use it in reservations. We use it for all the mundane tasks that a human would need to do. Yeah. So we free up the time for our team members to interact with our guests. If you don't have the time to interact with the guests because you've got so much paperwork and so much administration, the stress that the team member may feel impacts the way
it gets projected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by removing the tasks that nobody wants to do, you actually create a happier, healthier environment for all your team members where they can take their time to engage with the guests. So I think for us, that's so exciting. And then sustainability, continuing on our journey to preserve the planet. That has to be at the forefront of any business. But in hospitality, we've always lagged behind. Mm-hmm. And so looking at more ways of how we can be sustainable, how we can educate ourselves, our team members and our guests, because that's always the challenge. The guest still feels that maybe it's a cost savings initiative.
Yeah.
So it's about educating, but educating in a nice way.
Yeah, that goes back to communication again. It's communicating that to your guests this time rather than amongst your team, I guess.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think going back to the AI thing that we spoke about, it is about using it to your strength and not letting it scare you, I suppose. Personal question for you and what you've experienced in the hotel sector. Has there ever been somewhere you've walked into, a hotel that you've stayed at, and when you've walked into the lobby and you've thought, they've really got this right? And what was it?
I would say definitely a hotel in Dubai, Jumeirah. I went to stay there with my daughter when she was probably a year old. And I walked in and I did not have her stroller. And immediately one of the porters or bellmen came up to me with the stroller.
Wow.
And I was blown away because, her stroller actually had been lost by the airline. And so he came over the stroller and said, well, we have the stroller, you could use the stroller. So that was really amazing. Yeah. And then I stayed at the one and only in Cape Town. And I remember arriving not into the lobby, but into my room. And they put a baby bath in my room.
Wow.
And I just thought that was amazing because she needed one. And the fact that I did not have to call to the reception and say, I need a baby bath. Yeah. It was there. So I think they really read me as I walked in.
Well, that's what you said about your team and being intuitive and kind of reading the room. And I guess they're perfect examples of that. Yeah.
So your past positive experiences have helped you bring this to what you do. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every time I travel and I see something, I come back and I make notes. And I don't, I'm not working obviously, but I do make notes on my iPhone. And if I see something and I think, oh, we could do that, or I take photos of them. Yeah. Because I think it's all about us educating each other.
It's a learning opportunity, I guess. You're a consumer in those times when you're traveling. So you can come with a different approach and mindset, I guess. I think we're the same. There's no off switch. It's there. I think we're all aware kind of your role and general managers, directors, people in, I suppose, key stakeholder positions within hotels. It can be quite a demanding job. What do you do in your spare time to unwind and have a little bit of calm amongst the madness, I guess?
Well, now I have Monty, my wonderful Bichon Frise. So I take him for walks, which I love. Yoga, good glass of wine. Nobody says no to that. I love reading. And I love swimming, whether it's summer or winter. So I love cold water swimming. So any opportunity.
Braver than me.
I'm going to ILTM in December and I will be swimming.
Wow.
Every morning.
Amazing. It's so good for you, isn't it? It's some real health benefits.
Cold therapy is really is a big thing at the moment. Do you use the spa here, the facilities here?
You know what? I don't. I don't really want to bump into any of my guests, but I have tested in pre-opening, and they're wonderful. We've got a great sauna. And wet area and Yatra Spa is fantastic. So you must try it.
I've used it and I was very, very impressed. It's a bit of a hidden gem, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's very calming down there. You go down there and you're calm from the moment you go.
Feel like you're in the centre of London?
No, not at all. Yeah. Not at all.
That's nice. If you weren't in hospitality, where do you think you would be?
A lawyer or a psychologist.
Wow. Okay. Any reason in particular? Oh.
I think the art of persuasion is very important. And in hospitality, we have that. And as a lawyer, you need to have that too.
Yeah.
And then definitely intuition, understanding understanding the human mind and brain. And I think we definitely have to have that in hospitality.
Yeah.
So I think definitely that would be and my team members often say that to me as well. You should have been a lawyer.
We have a bit of a tradition here on the podcast. So we get a previous guest to leave a question for a future guest. So last podcast we was down with Tej from Fox Hills. You probably know Tej, yeah. He left the question, what legacy would you like to leave behind?
I would like to leave behind a legacy where people come into our hotels and they see that we lead with kindness, compassion and care, and that our team members do the same, because I don't think many companies do that well. Yeah. I want them to walk away and say that was an amazing experience because they made me feel seen.
Yeah, I love that. What question would you like to leave her, our next guest?
How does he or she see the future of AI in food and beverage?
Oh,
okay. That's a good one.
Oh, I look forward to the answer.
Very topical. We've got a session next week on AI with our partners Agilysys, so I'm interested to see what people come up with there. We kind of do some quick fire questions as well, so we'll go into those. So you may not be a coffee drinker, so this first one might be. We'll see. He's frowning at me. There's okay. Order of choice for a big day at the Montcalm.
Cappuccino with oat milk.
Nice.
Lovely. I was going to say, if it's not coffee, you could have said Bucks Fizz to begin your morning, and we would.
I don't know who's going to be listening to this.
What is your favourite Montcalm property?
All of them.
All of them.
Very
I thought that might be the
diplomatic.
answer. Yeah.
Boutique or big brand hotel?
Both, depending on when.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The last hotel you stayed in, not one of your own, that really truly impressed you?
Pan Pacific London.
Lovely.
Okay, lovely. Hopefully it'll never come to this, but what would your death row meal be?
Definitely steak.
Yeah.
My husband would need to cook it though,
Okay.
with a red wine jus and a Spanish Rioja.
Oh,
Ooh,
yes,
okay.
nice.
Okay.
Room service breakfast or rooftop brunch?
Depends on who I'm with.
Staycation or a destination getaway?
Destination.
The best place in the world that you've ever visited?
Cape Town, South Africa.
I'd love to go.
I'd love to go as well. I'd love to go on a safari. Absolutely, that's on my bucket list. Early check-in or a late check-out? As a consumer, this is probably a very different answer.
Early check-in.
Okay.
Team meeting in person or virtual?
It depends on what we're speaking about.
Okay.
Go-to cocktail?
Spicy margarita.
Yeah.
Spicy mugs.
Pick 3 guests, past or present, to host in a Montcalm property.
Okay. Yes, I know. I do love this question. Anthony Bourdain, David Attenborough,
Oh, it would be brilliant.
Heston Blumenthal.
Hopefully you can rustle something up
in
as well.
here,
That'd be nice.
lovely, yeah.
What's the biggest trend shaping luxury hospitality in 2025?
Well-being. I think wellness, definitely wellness trends in the hotel room.
You oversee some of London's most distinctive hotels. How would you describe your personal leadership style and how has that kind of changed throughout your time in hospitality?
I would say considerate, kind, clear, fair, but with a lot of clarity. I know exactly what I want
Nice.
and how we sometimes need to get there. But it's about how you deliver the message and making sure that your team feels empowered enough to be part of that process.
Leading diverse teams across multiple properties, obviously it requires kind of a strong culture and communication, as we've said already. What strategies do you use to inspire and empower your team to deliver what we have here today, the excellent kind of collection that you have?
I think clarity is number one, because, we need to all work towards common goals, and we have to ensure that our team members are on board. So many of our goals need to be their goals. So we have a lot of workshops throughout the year, throughout the months. Today we're doing Movember. So we have lots of occasions where our team members can speak to us and share their thoughts for how they want to shape the organization. Yeah. And so that's really key. And then using things like scorecards, guests' satisfaction, feedback.
Yeah. What kind of things do you look for in emerging leaders within your organisation, and how do you ensure that you nurture potential leadership at kind of every level?
I look for curiosity. I think that is key.
Yeah.
Someone who is curious about the world, curious about what we're doing, constantly asking the questions.
Yes.
And then, the world is their oyster. We have team members who come and talk to us. We have an open door policy. I had a team member sending me a message last week saying, I would love to speak to you about my future. And the team member's only been here for a few weeks. And somebody said to me, but that's a bit soon. And I said, it's never too soon, because the moment you start engaging with that team member, you can understand what they want, and maybe you can help direct them. Yeah. And sometimes sharing your story. Yeah. And sometimes we forget that I was that team member. Yeah. And I was that team member who was hoping that my leader would see my potential. Yeah. So it's definitely about giving everyone that opportunity to feel seen and heard.
So people that are inquisitive, naturally, they're the people that ask lots of questions. They're interested in why does and how do things work. So they're the people you look towards.
Absolutely. And making sure you have development programs. Yeah. We're working on an ambassador program right now.
Has there been a particular or specific figure or mentor that has had an influence on your career, would you say?
When I worked for Sol Kerzner's Palace Hotel, which was a leading hotel of the world, we had a CEO who is now the CEO of Diriyah, Jerry Anzrella, and I was very fortunate to be able to work with him. Mm-hmm. And he definitely inspired us, because he always took the time to get to know all the young aspiring leaders of the company. Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of time with him, and he definitely taught us quite a lot about, empathy, humility. I think he's one of the most inspirational leaders I've ever met in my career.
Lovely. Final question from me, and I know that it's going to be a tricky one, but has there ever been, or of course I know there has, what would you say has been the highlight of your career if you had to choose just one? Or best moment?
Aside from staying here with us, of course.
Right, yes, this is it. The first highlight of my career was probably getting promoted to a managerial role when I was 24. And I remember when I got the role, the general manager who offered it to me, I said, but I can't do the job. And he said, you get 200% for enthusiasm, the rest you'll figure out. I think the second highlight of my career was coming to Shangri-La at the Shard, and getting the opportunity to move to London, my first role in London, and to be, sky high, really, literally.
And get to see it all,
Sky's
basically, yeah.
And finally, definitely opening Montcalm Mayfair, and we've got so many exciting projects, so I'm sure that there's much more exciting moments for my career to come.
Absolutely,
I'm sure too.
Absolutely. We you've been an amazing guest, so thank you for being so generous with your time. We have a final parting question we ask everyone that comes on the podcast. What is your definition of hospitality, and why do you love this industry?
I love this industry because it makes you feel better when you leave it than when you've arrived.
Short and sweet. Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You've been an absolutely brilliant guest.
Absolute pleasure. You've been brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.